Yeah, you're live.
So this is the new Hip6 version of software, and what the software does is the first hip that allows you to take the hip procedure and take them in lateral and do the entire procedure without having to return. And in the older versions of software, you used to look at the anterior pelvic plane, which is the ASISs and the pubis. And what we realize is that there's always a varying level of adipose tissue over the pubis. So if we're really going to be accurate in what we do, we want to make sure that we tie everything to hard bone, and we've eliminated our pubis points and tied our points of collection into hard bone inside the acetabulum, right? So in order to do that, we have to take a couple measurements before we start the procedure. We're going to take an ASIS to ASIS measurement in pre-op or when they're coming in the room with a caliper. I know what the value is here, so I'll just go right into it. And I've already placed it into the computer. So the software is set up, and I can start with the patient entirely in lateral position. So no position and reposition. But that does require that I take a single point on the back of the patient to start the software. So I'm going to locate L5, I'm going to take my pointer at L5, and I'm going to take a single point. Then I'm going to move forward to the ASIS on the upper side of the patient. Take a single point there. At that point I would do my exposure, right? And the patient hasn't had to be repositioned. They're all still in lateral. And in this portion of the software, we're going to make a leg length measurement, right? And the software is reproducible of the leg length because we take a point at the greater troch. So there's an option to put a screw in the greater troch as it indicates on the screen, and that's just a place where you can put your pointer so you can take your pre-op measurement of the leg situation. Now that I've done that, I can go ahead and remove the femoral head, start doing the procedure. I'm going to hand the entire leg off here, and I'll go in and continue this extremely simple registration with a fossa point here. So I'm going to click the pointer once here, rotate around the fossa. Then I'm going to start inside the acetabulum and paint through the acetabular articulating surface until I fill up the screen. Now I move to the anterior-most point on the screen, which we refer to as the inferior peak of the psoas valley. And a left hip, it's about 9 o'clock, and right hip, it's 3 o'clock. Single point there. And that's the entire registration for the case. At that point, I can ream under navigation. It's not very popular, but I can also impact the cup, right? So if I go straight into my impactor, we have an offset version and a straight version for your preference, but we attach our cup, simply put it in the computer, and in real time, I can see where I'm going and what's happening on the screen. And as I get to where I want to be, inversion 15, inclination angle, as I rotate up, here it is, a lot of inversion here, a lot of inclination angle. You realize the slightest movement of your hand really affects these numbers quite a bit, and is a challenging thing to do visually. And if we see the software here, we can get real numbers in real time. An added really nice feature of the software is the ability to take polar points. As we come into the impactor here, we can take 3 points at the bottom and demonstrate closing distance as we bring the impactor in. All right, now that we've secured the cup and impacted it and stored the position, we can move back to doing the femur and broach, place our provisional implants in. As we place our provisional implants in, we can check the reduction, and with the reduction done, we can see how those provisional implants have affected the leg length. I'm not gonna change the leg length here. I'm gonna go back to my screw, and if I just press next on the computer, it will take me to the leg length portion. Perfect. The software is gonna ask me to restore the leg to its initial situation or its position, because we wanna make sure that the measurement we take is based on the same measurement and the same leg position at the start of the case. So I get the rotation right, and I get the abduction angle correct, and I bring in my pointer, go right back to my point, reproduce it, and I pulled on this leg just slightly to make it longer. If I continue to pull on the leg, I can actually cheat into even longer. And the idea is that you know, we set medial or longer, and this will adjust. It'll even adjust from head placement to head placement. And what that tells me is the change in this leg length over the procedure. We're not comparing it to the contralateral. We can use an x-ray from a pre-op image to tell us what has happened to this case. So pretty simple, a handful of points. Registration is really dialed back and intended to make this a really clean procedure where you know your cup version and your leg length change over a case.